Okay, we'd like to welcome you back to our current event and weekly Bible study for August 2nd, 2009. And we're going to continue with the study regarding Benjamin Creme, Maitreya. We're going to be segueing a little bit right now, and we're going to be looking at Yasser Arafat for a second and Israel. And just to understand, a lot of people in the Christian circles right now are very, very much against Israel. They're the source of all evil. They're the spawn of all wickedness. And most of these people have applied the promises that still apply to Israel in the Bible to themselves, and this gives them a right or a justification to demonize all of Israel. Okay, so replacement theology, this type of thing, British Israelism. There's certain sects of the black races that believe they're the 12 tribes of Israel and all those other things. But the Bible clearly gives reference to the specific 12 tribes in Revelation 7 and a further clarification in Revelation 14 that the emphasis will come back to the Jews during the tribulation at this time. And they specifically give the tribes by name in Revelation 7. And there are going to be 144,000 Jewish male virgins that have not known a woman, and 12,000 from each tribe, and they're going to go and they're going to, preach the good news, the gospel, essentially worldwide. And there's this big push, even in Christian circles, to totally demonize Israel and everything about it, and all the promises to Israel are negated, and none of them apply anymore, and these types of things. And Romans, I believe it's Romans 11, talks a lot about this, that they're still beloved for the Father's sake, and that they still have to get saved the same way we do. So what I try to do in regards to this particular subject is have biblical balance. I don't just say a Jew has this free pass to heaven because of the blood running through their veins. But we also shouldn't boast against the natural branches, as the Bible talks about, I believe, in Romans 7. I'm sorry, that was Romans 11 on both of those references that I talked about. You just read Romans 11. Romans 11 is pretty tough to get around. I'm sure that, and please don't, if you want to argue with me about this, don't bother, because, I've argued about this point so many times with people. You're not going to sway me from believing this, and I probably won't sway you, so it's kind of a pointless thing. Going further, let's just look at this. I want to show you one aspect of what a liar Benjamin Creme is during this interview. Let's look at his defense of Yasser Arafat and his condemnation of the Israelites for not giving up enough land. 41% just wasn't enough for Maitreya. But see, it's never enough. It wouldn't have mattered. It's been proven time and time and time again. Every time they try to placate the Palestinians, it doesn't matter. Why is that? Because the Quran tells them to totally wipe the Jews off the face of the planet. That's the only solution. So you could give them, all of the land, and they still wouldn't be happy until all the Jews are dead. Okay? So and again, that ultimately ends up applying to what they call all of the infidels. Who is an infidel according to the Quran? It's a non-believer in Islam. They don't believe in Allah, who is nothing more than the fallen angelic moon god. That's all he is. He's a fallen angel. Okay, they're worshiping a fallen angel. Allah is not the God of the Bible. I've done several studies on this. Just key in Muslim in the keyword search box on my homepage, Scott A. Johnson on Sermon Audio, and you'll find them. Just key in Muslim or part of the word, or Islam. I'm looking now at a map, and this is going to be up on the PDF that I will post that you can key on. And this map really is a little bit incomplete because it doesn't even include Iran. I don't see Turkey there. But what it's showing is all of the nations around tiny little Israel that are Islamic. And Israel, I'm just going to read this. Israel is a Jewish democratic nation, 1/119th the size of California. It's 1/119th size of California, and is one of the smallest nations on the face of the earth. With only about 8,000 square miles of land mass, it is roughly 2 times the size of Rhode Island, which is our smallest state in America. Israel is 260 miles at its longest and has a 112-mile coastline. It is 60 miles at its widest and 3 to 9 miles at its narrowest. We're talking about a tiny, tiny country. Okay? The nation of Israel is surrounded by 22 hostile Arab Islamic dictatorships that are 640 times her size and 60 times her population. Arab propagandists call Israel expansionists. There is no truth to this statement, as Israel occupies 1/6 of 1% of the lands called Arab. Understand, 1/6 of 1% Israel occupies. And yet all we ever hear on the news are these poor Palestinians that are being infringed upon their rights because these terrible, wicked Israeli Jews are gobbling up all their land. It's the exact opposite. The total exact opposite. 1/6 of 1% of all the lands called Arab. Why are the Arabs so obsessed with getting what little the Jews have away from them? Who is behind this obsession? It's Satan, obviously. 22 nations, 640 times her size, and yet they're always crying foul against Israel. This logically makes no sense whatsoever if you look at these statements. There are 13 million Jews in the world, almost 5 million fewer than there were in 1939, and 30 million Arabs, and 1.4 billion Muslims. There's no comparison. No comparison whatsoever. The Arab propagandists and biased, irresponsible news services call Israel expansionist and the aggressor against the Arab peoples. Israel has fought only defensive wars. To the Arabs, Israel's resistance is their aggression, which would lead to Israel's total destruction if allowed to go unchecked. See, what they'll do is they show all these pictures on TV, all these poor little Islamic kids being maimed and malformed. And the reason that may be is because they've got rockets coming from Israel but what initiated the rocket attacks? I've told you this before, when we did that study on Gaza. And just key in Gaza in the keyword search box on my homepage on Sermon Audio, and you'll find it. There's been, was like 8,000 rockets or something fired from Gaza since a certain date. I forget, it was like 2001 or something. And Israel finally decides to retaliate, and then they become the great Satan again. Because they're defending themselves? Well, when Israel fires back, what you see on the news are the people that got hurt from the rockets. And what a Islamic terrorist will do is he will push a baby bucky with a little baby in front of him so that the Israeli people won't fire on him, the Israeli military. These people are so satanically possessed to do something like that. If you see their actions at their protest, if you look at the studies I've done, look at the pictures, look at the studies or the protests where these people show up. They're demon-possessed. Now, does it mean I want them to all go to hell? No, I don't wish that any of them would go to hell. I pray to God they get saved. I'm being realistic. I'm giving you the facts. Go up on the internet and look at their behavior. We're talking some serious demon possession here. Okay? And I'm not going to make apologies for their behavior or for what their Quran says. And I've got the verses from their own Quran that document this. It's very easy to prove this stuff. It's not hard. So, again, these acts of Israel and self-defense are illogically viewed as, quote, acts of aggression. Is illogical the proper term to be used here? Of course it is. But is logic really a considered factor in much of today's news propaganda? Now, let's go ahead and look at some quotes from good old Yasser Arafat, this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man of peace that died of a broken heart over Israel not, having her, over him not getting all of Israel's land, or the 41% that was offered to him wasn't enough. Yasser Arafat, who actually won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1994. This shows you how warped our world is. Give this devil the Peace Prize. He was the Palestinian president of the Palestinian Authority from 1996 to, that doesn't give a date there when it ended. Anyway, he lived to 2004. I believe that it was till 2004. Here's a quote from Yasser Arafat. Quote, We plan to eliminate the state of Israel and establish a purely Palestinian state. We will make life unbearable for the Jews by psychological warfare and popular